And we are live to the internet.
Hello, Internet.
How you doing, internet? I guess I should bring up the chat. That would help.
All these
Right?
people are probably answering us, and they can't see us.
Nope.
Or we can't see them, sorry.
Nope.
That's how that
exactly.
works.
That is how that works. Alrighty. Wait, I don't have to do a clap before we record.
No,
anymore.
not for like 5 years now.
I know, and I love it. Hello and welcome to episode number 874 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023. I'm your host, Chris Johnston, and with me as always from Canada is Mr. Greg Seward.
Yellow.
How's it going there, sir?
No, not bad.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Okay.
How's it going with you?
It's going just fine. Yeah. Just fine.
Okay. Good stuff. Glad we
It's
talked
just
about
you
it.
and me tonight. No Phil. We are on a no Phil evening of the podcast.
On a no-fill diet.
Yeah, he's on vacation, apparently. So, not
I love it.
like I was a couple weeks ago, I guess.
Were you?
It's fair.
You guys taking
Yeah.
vacations. I don't get to do that.
For some of those days, yeah, I was on vacation, and it was nice.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, we got some video game stuff to talk about, and
Do we?
We should go ahead and do that right now. Yeah. So, how do you feel about Xbox 360 digital games, Greg?
um,
Do you have?
I haven't
Do you
thought
have
about
your
them in quite a
Xbox
while.
360 still plugged in?
I do. Downstairs in the
do?
den. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
When was the last time you played a digital game?
I'll
On
tell
your
you what,
Xbox, or
my
even
son-
booted up the Xbox 360?
That's been a while.
Uh.
Yeah, but my son's been playing a lot of Castle Crashers lately, which I believe
saw
is
that.
the one that I bought on the Xbox 360. I think that was originally the system it came out on, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's out on the newer gen.
Yeah, I know, but it might be.
systems. But yeah,
backwards
Castle Crashers
compatible.
was originally a 360 game. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those original Xbox Live Arcade games that one of those Summer of Arcade titles. Remember when Microsoft used to do that?
That I remember that game had a lot of positive buzz around it because of the way it looked.
Positive.
It was really, really fantastic looking.
Indeed. Yes. Well, the Xbox 360 store is going to close next year, July 2024.
So they said, because I didn't really read the whole thing, I assume because the way it's been normally when a digital storefront closes, if you already purchased a game or games on there, you were still able to download them for another X number of months or.
That's
whatever.
correct. I don't even think they have a date for when you wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay.
The basics are, yes, you'll still be able to download anything that you bought. So It won't affect your ability to play Xbox 360 games or DLC you have already purchased, says the official release of this information. So, yeah. But of course, a lot of that content is not backwards compatible with the Xbox One or Xbox Series. So,
yeah, that's the big problem.
According to Video Games Chronicle, that means more than 220 digital games will disappear when the store closes. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, it doesn't seem like a lot of like amazing games that I'm necessarily broken up about losing.
Yeah, but that's not really the point.
That's not the point. You're right. You're absolutely right. But yeah, 220 games are gonna basically, you won't be able to access those anymore.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of YouTubers who spend a lot of money to download everything and put it on a hard drive and send it to Video Game History Foundation and make lots of ad revenue.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, it's sad. It's obviously sad that a digital storefront is closing down. We've seen this happen with Nintendo has closed down the DS store, the Wii store, the 3DS store. I think is closed now too, and the Wii U. Like all of those are closed, and Xbox 360, a console from the mid 2000s, is just closing now. I think that's okay. And
Well, I mean,
the FAQ that they have set up where it's like, yes, if you bought these games, you'll still be able to download them. You'll still be able to play them after that point. Like that's fantastic. That's about as good as you can expect. And multiplayer
sadly.
games will also still work as long as the
That's good.
publisher is still supporting the online connectivity. So that's also still good. But so I think this is sort of best case scenario is what we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean the fact that it's happening and it's going to continue to happen still sucks. But I mean that's the world we live in right now. I will say that I feel like Microsoft has been kind of on the out of the three major system holders. It's probably been on the sort of the front end of backwards compatibility across their systems.
For sure.
Yeah. It's been, it's it's definitely been a focus of theirs since the Xbox 360 came out. I remember being at some press event at one point where Chris Boyer and I ended up chatting with somebody who was part of the Xbox backwards compatibility team, where they were talking about how they were so focused on getting as many Xbox games to run on the 360 as possible, but the architecture wasn't as such that you could just drop an Xbox game into the 360 and it would work. Like it was a game by game basis that they've sort of always done that. So it's great that they've done that. I mean, it makes me happy. I think, you could never expect that every single game would be backwards compatible, unfortunately.
True.
And Viva Piracy, I guess. I mean,
I suppose, yeah. Is Xbox 360 emulation
I have no idea.
a thing yet?
It has to be, but I don't follow it enough to know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you have a year now. You have your year warning.
The countdown is on.
The countdown is on. So get to it. The countdown is also on for Alan Wake 2 because the release date on that has been pushed back only 10 days to October 27th.
Newsworthy.
Yeah, it was originally gonna come out on October 17th, but of course they were basically like surrounded by other big releases like Spider-Man 2, right? And Mario Wonder, and
I forgot that was coming out
on the same day.
This holiday season is going to be rough on the old wallet.
Yeah, and then Assassin's Creed Mirage was also coming out around the same time, although that got moved up.
Creed Mirage, really?
That got moved up. Yeah, that's now coming out October 5th. So Alan Wake 2, October 27th. And it's an only digital title, and it's out for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. So I'm excited about Alan Wake 2. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I definitely want to play it for sure. I mean, I loved the first one. So
first one, such a classic game. So
I'm excited for Alan to come back.
Me too. I still have to play Control.
Yeah, same.
That's one of the sort of blind spots.
Yeah.
Of my backlog. I played a little bit of it, and then something else came out, and I moved on. And
that's kind of your thing, though.
2023 is the year of that, where everything that comes out is immediately usurped by something new, right?
I mean, for you,
except
sure,
not for you.
Yeah, not me.
Still playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah,
months later. Yeah, I haven't loaded that up in quite a while.
Jesus.
Yeah, but I should. Hey, Sega released a Samba de Amigo demo. on the
I
Switch
saw that
eShop.
on the outline, and I need to go. You're lucky I showed up.
And you weren't sambaing out. Well, it only
Yeah.
has 2 songs, so you wouldn't be able to
So
samba for that long.
watch me.
So this game comes out on August 29th. So we'll be playing it soon enough, but you can of course download the demo and try it out for yourself. Try them out
Can't
the
wait.
motion controls, or you can play it with the Joy-Con as well.
God, I hope it doesn't
With the
suck.
controls. I hope it doesn't also. Yeah. You know, I was thinking about this though. Samba de Amigo is one of those games where you're like, man, I wish they would bring that back. And then when they do, like they are now, especially because it's surrounded by so many other high profile releases, it's hard to get like super excited about it.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's different now. I think that was more important back when it originally came out. You know what I mean? Because it was a much smaller industry. I think now, I don't know that Spider-Man is stealing a whole lot of sales from Samba de Amigo. That's what I'm saying.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
You know.
Yeah. But where are the people that have nostalgia for Samba de Amigo? Are they going to show up and buy this thing?
That's the bigger question.
Yeah.
Because I think that'll be the bulk of the market to begin with. I mean, if it ends up being really great, then I'm sure, more people will be interested. But I hope the demo's good. I'm excited. But cautiously excited.
Cautiously excited.
Yeah.
Why don't they have Samba de Janeiro on there?
Yeah.
On the demo. That would be better.
Yeah.
It's got a Kesha song and then a cover of Shake Sonora, like that.
Oh yeah. Well, that's not bad.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
But
see, that's the thing is I hope that the soundtrack list leans more in that direction.
Pop
I mean, you got to have
songs?
some more modern songs on there too, but just sort of some,
You absolutely do.
more timeless stuff that doesn't necessarily date the game.
Well, that Kesha song is pretty old at this
Not
point.
to me.
Oh, okay. Okay, Grandpa.
I'll tell you, man, the oldies station here is playing all my favorite hip hop from the 90s. That's all I'm saying.
I know, it's so crazy to me.
It's so sad.
Yeah. Was it we started watching Lost.
Jesus.
As a family. So
speaking of old,
I know that is our sort of nightly show now. And my daughter's watching it. She watched a little bit of Lost when we rewatched it a long while ago. And we didn't even finish season 2, I don't think, at that time. But we're watching it now, and it's like that came out in 2004, which is about to be 20 years. 20 years ago. And we just got to season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they at the end of season 1 they showed the smoke monster for the first time, and my daughter's like, oh, the special effects are terrible. I was like, but in 2004 for television, you got to understand this was like the peak.
She doesn't have to understand anything.
Well, I guess that's true. This was like the most expensive broadcast television show, right? These special effects are like top notch for 2004 TV.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, another August release, the making of Karateka, which I say Karateka. Do you say Karateka or Karateka? Because I've heard it.
I say Karateka.
Karateka. I think Karateka.
Karateka sounds wrong. I've
heard it pronounced Karateka, and it does sound wrong.
I hear a lot of people mispronounce words. That doesn't mean that it's,
Yep. Exactly. It launches on August 29th. For PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And then the Switch version is going to come out in September. So at a later time. I bought Atari 50 for the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know which platform I'm going to purchase this one for. I'm very interested in this, though, because Karateka was a game that I played quite a bit of on the Apple II. Back in the day.
Well, I saw they've been sort of dripping out information on this, and I saw something pop up in my feed the other day where they've recreated like a shooter game demo. It almost looks like
Yeah,
what's the name of that?
Shooter
What's the
called
name of that
Death
game I'm
Bounce
thinking of?
Rebounded.
Yes. Yeah. So I really love that idea. So it was apparently something that Death Bounce is something that Jordan Mechner created at some point. I don't know that he ever sold it. I don't know if it ever came to market in any way. But that Digital Eclipse has recreated and added to this, which is that's really neat. I love that idea.
Yeah, me too. This was an unpublished prototype that basically they took and finished, quote unquote. But yeah, I'm really interested in this, if only because Jordan Mechner is the person behind Prince of Persia. This game is sort of the precursor to that, and also involved like rotoscope animation. Like, it also at the time was very nicely done visually. And I'm curious to know more about it. It's only a $20 game, so it feels like $20 for like a documentary that you can play. I'm into that. So
yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not buying it because I want to play through Karateka or anything like that.
Yeah,
buying
it to support the idea of what they're doing.
Well, that, and I'm just interested to see. I mean, Atari 50 was fantastic. I didn't buy Atari 50 to play through the games on that either.
That's true.
But buying it to support the format, but also just, I'm sure as a documentary, it's going to be it's going to be well worth the $20. I'm thinking. So,
yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I wonder what game they will tackle next. What game would you like to see Digital Eclipse tackle, Greg? Do you have something?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that. There's so many. There's so many things they could do.
Yeah.
Let's get a Batman license. I want to see them cover all the Batman, the Tim Burton Batman games.
That'd be pretty good. I'd love to see them do. I mean, this is never going to happen. I'd love to see somebody do a Nintendo documentary, playable documentary.
Yeah, because Nintendo doesn't get enough
it's not gonna
attention in general.
Yeah, but I feel like in terms of the material that they were able to unearth for Atari 50 and the type of interviews that they do, like, I think that could be super interesting, right?
No, I do agree with you, and I think that if I understand what you're getting at, would be more interesting to see like more archival footage, and interviews from with the people who were there at the time. Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I'd love to see that across a lot of different studios, both Japanese and really the rest of the world. And we've seen some of that happen. Like the Bedrooms to Billions documentary series of films does a great job of that, sort of in the UK. And I would love to see like something like Taito. I would love to see some kind of documentary on Taito from like the late 70s on, right? I think that would be fascinating, especially if there's behind the scenes footage of the office and stuff like that.
Definitely. Or even Namco.
Namco. I was just going to say the exact same thing. Yeah. Like any of those really big hitters, the really heavy hitters from the late 70s, early 80s in the arcade.
Yeah.
Be like same thing with the Atari games side of things, or Midway, or Williams and all that. Like all that stuff would be I'd sit and watch that endlessly, no problem.
Yeah, same. I wonder if that's why Atari has gone on that buying spree. I wonder if they'll fund some kind of thing with Digital Eclipse. That'd be awesome. I'd be for it.
I think there'd be a lot worse ways to spend their money.
Certainly. Yeah. Atari is doing some really interesting stuff. That Quantum Recharged game came out last week. I did not pick this up yet, but because I never played Quanta back in the day. But it's kind of like a Kicks sort of clone apparently originally played with the trackball, where you are a
Okay.
ship and you have to basically like surround enemies and they get killed a la Kicks.
Okay.
And yeah, that looks interesting. They're doing a lot of interesting stuff. That haunted house remake that they're doing looks interesting, very different from the reimagining that was on Atari 50.
Mm-hmm.
Looks more like a modern game, kind of using the same design ethos.
I haven't seen any of that, but I really hope that they keep the essence of the old game, because
Yeah.
like I was actually recording something today where I was talking about Atari 2600 games, and I forgot to mention Haunted House, but that would have been it was funny because I was actually holding a Haunted House cartridge at the moment. But that game is a great on the 2600 was a great example of sort of overcoming the system's shortcomings.
Yeah.
By just
Technical
being
limitations.
technical limitations, by just being extremely creative with the presentation. Like, it reminds me a lot of the one that I was talking about today was actually Enduro, which was it was an into the screen racing game. But the whole idea was that time passed. Like, you were racing and trying to pass a bunch of cars out on like basically a highway. And they all sort of look like Formula One cars, kind of in the way an Atari 2600 car sprite would. Just, big and blocky, but it had a day-night cycle. So as you're driving, the screen would get like, the sky would shift to darker and darker with like a red band across to show a sunset and that sort of thing. And then when that happened, all those big blocky car models just turned into pairs of red dots, like taillights, which, yes, it doesn't look realistic in any sense of the word, but boy, does it ever instill that feeling of, if you've ever been driving down a highway in the middle of the
Sure.
night, like that's exactly what it feels like. And haunted house was another great example of something like that. It's like, we can't be super detailed with our visual presentation, so hey, look, just a pair of eyes running around a dark level that
Right.
flashes every now and then with thunder and lightning. It's like brilliant, just brilliant.
Found a way to evoke the feeling,
Right,
right? Even
exactly.
though you couldn't do it. And in part, that relies on the player's imagination
Oh,
filling
for
in the
sure.
blanks for so
Yeah.
much of that, right?
Yeah.
And suspending disbelief.
Yeah,
Certainly.
exactly. And every now and then on the 2600, you'd hit that, and Atari were masters of it back in the day too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, I think we're through the news, so that means we're at what you've been playing.
That was quick.
Greg, you wanna you wanna talk about Tears of the Kingdom? What's your
I do.
weekly checklist here? What have you done this week in Tears of the Kingdom?
I'll tell you what, I found the Great Deku Tree. I hadn't done that yet.
Oh, I have not done that either. Well, I haven't done a
There's
lot
a
that
whole
you've done.
process to it. It's pretty cool, actually, because
Oh yeah,
if you try to enter Korok Forest, uh, just as you're traveling around Hyrule, you can't. It's not possible to get in there.
really? Oh,
So you have to go down to the depths and find your way up into the forest. So there's
oh,
like this whole area in the depths that doesn't really fit the rest of it. And then there's this whole sequence you have to go through up there. And there's some cool little missions inside the forest, which are, the whole area feels very different than anything else in the game. But anyway, yeah, I kind of finished my Sky Island exploration. I did the Korok Forest. I've got all of my side quests are done now, all the ones that I've found. And now I'm just sort of spelunking the depths, and finding all kinds of cool stuff down there, like,
yeah.
stumbling across abandoned mines and stuff like that. And there was a great sequence that I just did the other night, which I call it the Spiral Jetty. It's not the Spiral Jetty,
Right.
but that's
I
what
know what you're
it's
talking about, though.
clearly based on. Which, by the way, fun fact, the real Spiral Jetty, which I think is in the Great Salt Lake, was built by our former co-host's father, Mike Phillips'
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that in the game, I took a picture of it and I sent it to him, and I said, just thought you'd want to know that, this is in Zelda. And he was like, oh wow, like he was really, really happy to see that. Anyway, so in the depths version of that, it's just this sort of long circular it's basically like a mine that you're working your way through, but it was just like a fun little adventure to get through, and there's a treasure at the end of it, and another light route. So yeah, I just been going through all that. I found a couple light routes that I have not found the corresponding shrines for. So I'm kind of back up on Death Mountain right now, trying to find. There has to be a cave entrance on the side of the mountain somewhere I have not found. It's killing me because I'm walking around the side of the mountain and my shrine sensor is dinging like crazy, but I can't find a way in.
Oh no!
I'm starting to wish it was Minecraft and I could just dig my way through the side of the mountain, but unfortunately I can't.
Got to save that for the next Zelda game.
Yeah,
Have one of the powers be digging. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, not much to really say about it. Otherwise, it's just that I'm in this place now, and I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty happy with it because I found, I think it's 135 shrines now, and I've never had to look any of them up yet. So I'm pretty excited about that.
How much looking stuff up have you done? Like, because
there's been some side quests that I've gone and looked things up.
Death Mountain shrine that you cannot find for the life of you. Are you tempted at all to like?
With the shrines, no. With some side quests, I have like little things like there was one woman, I forget what town she was in. I think it's the town that has the big ring ruins over top of it. Is that Kakariko Village? No,
Kakariko
it's not.
Village. Yes, it is.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's Kakariko Village then, where she's sitting outside a cabin and it's her grandmother who's sick because of the gloom. She's sick because of the gloom, and she's trying to create a dish that she could feed her to make her better. Right? Well, I mean, the hint they give you is, I think, to go find greens somewhere. And I didn't figure it out right away. And I found that early in the game and then just sort of let it fall to the bottom of the list and I kept playing. So as I was cleaning up, I went back to it and I went and talked to her. And if she was giving me a hint, or there was some hint somewhere I must have missed, I have no idea. So I looked that up, and the secret ingredient was Sundelions, which I think I probably would have known had I spent more time in the depths, because, if you get infected with gloom down there, obviously your hearts break and you can't heal. Yeah. But if you create dishes with Sundelions, that heals the gloom, right? So had I played that part of the game a little bit more, I probably would have known that, and I would have guessed that this is the ingredient she needs. So I looked that up. I've looked up small things like that here and there. But with the shrines, no, there's just some sort of, I don't know. I like that I found so many of them naturally through exploration that I kind of want to see how far I can get before I'm just like, I have no idea where these last X number of shrines are.
How many do we know? Do you know how many there are total?
150 something.
Okay.
So I think I'm 20 away. So yeah. But cool. I don't know. I might, as I get the depths sorted out and completely mapped, I might just give up on it and refer to a guide before I go to the end game stuff.
Yeah.
Mike, your best friend Mike says 152. He'd know because he plays with a guide in his hand. Also showed me that he found every Korok seed today.
Oh, he finally
all 1,000
completed that.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that guy cheats himself and the game. And
I did buy the guidebook. I bought the guide so that I can reference it later.
By the guide.
Yeah, and my daughter also likes referencing the guides.
Well, see, you have a good reason then.
So, yeah,
she can do whatever she wants.
Exactly. That's all you've been playing now? Just Zelda?
That's it.
Playing anything else?
I'm on my Twitch channel. I've been playing Police Knots.
Yeah.
And Shining Force 2, but I kind of don't really want to talk about them every single week, so I kind of want to wait till
you're talking about Zelda every single week instead.
I know, right? I got nothing else to talk about. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, gotta play something newer.
Well, if I ever finish Zelda, I will.
Yes. Alrighty. Well, I have a couple things to talk about. First of all, here's a suggestion to you, Greg. There's a game called Born of Bread out that has a demo
every day
on PlayStation and yeah, PS5 and Switch, I believe. And this is a Paper Mario inspired sort of adventure RPG. The
Okay.
combat system is very Paper Mario
Okay.
ish. Yeah. Except it's like card based, which I don't think
No, that's not a thing I
Paper
like.
Mario was. But it looks pretty cool. The animation style is nice, and the characters are all sort of flat 2D, hand drawn, and the backgrounds are like full 3D and lit very well. Very nice looking environments. But yeah, I think you should try this game. I think Phil should try this game too. I tried a little bit of the demo. It's quite charming. It's
You'll
quite
have to say
funny.
it again because Phil doesn't listen to the show.
I know. I'll have to say it again next week. Born of Red
Yeah.
is the name of the game. But
Okay.
Phil, you're not listening to this, so I'll mention it next week. Yeah. I also played some more Exo Primal because, of course, I did. And this has become like my sort of end of the day. Just want to like switch the brain off and shoot some dinosaurs in the face kind of game that everybody needs to relax. And I've started playing some of the other classes. Like normally I would just play support, but
Okay.
I've been trying out Roadblock is the name of the tank character that I've been playing, who Roadblock puts up a nice defense shield. So when you're
Okay.
doing missions like you're escorting the payload, you can put up a nice shield towards the end of that and really protect your teammates quite a bit. You can also like aggro dinosaurs onto you with Roadblock. It's
Okay.
kind of fun. Just
It
make
really
them
sounds
aggro
like an
onto you.
Autobot name, but yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Exoprimal's great. I know a lot of people are probably shaking their heads like, "What are you playing this dinosaur shooter game?" But it's just fun. It's just like fun and not a very serious story or anything. And the games, only last about 15 minutes tops. So it's a nice short play. It's not even like Fortnite. Fortnite can last longer than
A
that
long
on
time, yeah.
occasion,
Well, not
depending
for
on how
me.
well you do.
Fortnite's usually over for me pretty quick.
Usually for me too. Yeah. I've gotten a couple victory royales this season, and speaking of that, new season of that starts like in the next week or so. So
My
very excited.
goodness.
It's a heist season this time. They have some
What does
kind of
that
heist
mean?
going on. I don't know. I don't really know what it
Okay.
means. They've teased it. The theme is heists. So we'll see how that goes.
All right.
Yeah. So I went back to Fallout 76.
I saw that. Why?
A game I haven't played since 2018. Played a little bit of it with your best friend of mine, Mike. He bought an Xbox to play this game.
Oh my
And
god.
if you'll remember, and then
Yeah.
returned it. And
I'd forgotten, but continue.
But since the next season of Sea of Thieves got pushed out to like mid-October, end of October, actually.
Are they
A
just
bunch of
trying to
people.
avoid Spider-Man, or
I don't think so.
okay?
A bunch of the people that we sail with have started playing other games, and one of those is Fallout 76. So we both jumped back in to Fallout 76.
Okay.
So my level 31 character that I hadn't played since 2018, I hopped back in using that character. And they've changed a lot about that game. They added because originally there were
Well, there's a lot to fix
human,
in that game.
there were
so,
no human NPCs in Fallout
Yeah.
76 when it first came out, and now there's human NPCs everywhere in that game.
overrun.
But also they have like new social features. You can join like server-based teams. Like if you have a specific thing that you want to do, whether you want to go exploring, you want to do like daily missions, or you want to play casually, like they have themed teams that you can start up and invite people to. and you get like bonuses on your XP if you do that. You reading Facebook while we're talking, Craig?
Very much.
I could see those eyes wandering.
Yep.
Were you not interested in Fallout 76?
Not in the least.
Oh, well, it's still buggy. To no surprise of anyone. Like, I did this quest where I had to put up a sign in my camp, and then people would come. It would attract some kind of clientele who would tell me about the secret location of some base. Anyway, one of the characters who came up there, I told him something, and he started walking away. So I followed him and talked to him again. And then at the end of that conversation, he just moonwalked backwards for about 30 seconds until he ran into a bush that stopped him from moving at all.
I mean, it is the anniversary of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker at the end of this week, so
well, there you go.
Maybe it's an homage. Maybe it's not
it was
a bug.
just an homage to that. Yeah,
it's a feature.
Maybe so. But yeah, so I'm back into Fallout 76. The new season of that starts in like a week, or maybe it's this week even. So I'm excited to get in on the ground floor of that and start playing some more Fallout 76. Yeah.
I swear I don't even know you.
I know. Right before Starfield comes out.
I do want to try Starfield. Forza's coming out soon too, right? Like in October,
Forza. Is that October?
I want to say it's October, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah. And then I played some Wayfinder. So Wayfinder, this is a new MMO. Published by Digital Extremes, so it's the Warframe people publishing. And then Airship Syndicate is the developer. Airship Syndicate did Battle Chasers Night War and Ruined King and Darksiders Genesis. So they have like a pretty good pedigree.
Okay.
Yeah. And this one got announced at the Game Awards, I think last year, I think 2022. And I really liked the look of it. And I had signed up for a few of the betas that they ran and played that. It's an MMO. And it has a really nice visual style. So really like bright and kind of vibrant and lush environments. It's a fantasy game, but I don't know, it just looks more inviting than Elder Scrolls Online, which I tried and could not play in the least. Like,
I had no idea.
To me, the aesthetics have to be a certain way for me to enjoy a game like that, which is why I'm playing Fallout, of course. And so I started playing Wayfinder. The unfortunate thing is that everybody else also started playing Wayfinder, and it broke their servers. Their servers have been broken for like the past 3 or 4 days.
Oh my god.
So I've gotten to play maybe an hour and a half in that time. And you go on now and the queues are like 20,000 players in front of you when you log in. So you have to wait like an hour and a half to even start playing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot more people showed up than I think they were planning to have on launch day, which is both a good problem and a bad problem, because then they got review bombed on Steam. Nice. So yeah, they'll have to dig out of that hole. But this game is available on PlayStation and Steam, and it's going to be a free-to-play game. This is the early access launch, and you can get access to it by buying a Founders Pack, the lowest of which is $20, which is what I ended up going with. But the gameplay, it reminds me a little bit of Phantasy Star Online.
Okay.
In that it's kind of a looter game. You go into these dungeons that are partially randomized in terms of layout and also in terms of the events that happen in them. And so
I just want to say that previous sentence was just filled with nothing but red flags for me, but keep going.
Why is that? What's
just you just described a bunch of stuff I don't like.
You don't like randomized?
Nope.
You don't
or
like
looter
PSO?
game.
Fantasy
Didn't
Star?
like PSO.
No?
No,
Oh, well, I love PSO.
I
And
know you
I've
did.
been looking for a game to kind of scratch that same itch for a long time now.
Since the glory years of Phantasy Star Universe.
There were no glory years of Phantasy Star Universe.
But it's important to
I hate
this series or this podcast because it was one of the first games we were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, those 17 years ago.
Don't remind me.
I just did.
But yeah, so Wayfinder so far anyway is pretty cool. Hopefully their server issues get fixed and I can play for more than an hour and a half coming up here. We'll see how that goes. But another game that is also launched on Friday that is also having some server issues is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre by Gun Interactive and
Do any of these
Sumo
games ever work?
Nottingham. I think it's just that too many players are trying to play them on day one, right? Like it's hard to test for that accurately, I think. But hey, a lot of people showed up for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The game is on Game Pass, which is where I'm playing it. I'm playing it on Xbox. And this, of course, is an asymmetrical multiplayer game, just like you know that I love. But this one has a little bit of a twist. It's 4 survivors and 3 killers. So a lot of times in these asymmetrical horror games, there is only 1 killer and X number of survivors, maybe like from 1 to 8.
Wouldn't they be potential survivors?
Well, potentials, yeah. In games like Dead by Daylight or Predator Hunting Grounds or Friday the 13th, there have been problems where a lot of people want to be the killer and not as many people want to be survivors. So it's hard to get into a game where you get to play the role that you want. So kind of a similar thing happening here, apparently, with the queue for people who want to be killers. But at least there's 3 killers. And now you only have to fight about which character you get to play as. Because you can't duplicate characters in this, so only one person can be Leatherface, although you have to have at least one Leatherface in each game. Yeah, I've only played on the survivor side of things because I feel like I'm not quite up to being a killer yet.
No, you haven't really. The motivation isn't there yet.
No, and I feel like learning the survivor side will give me a good insight into what players will do on each map in terms of trying to get out. And yeah, it's basically like a hide and seek game where 3 people are it and they're trying to flush out the rest. And I really like what they have done because so many of these asymmetrical horror games look directly at Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th as their basis. This one, of course, feels similar in a lot of ways to Friday the 13th, but it sort of takes it goes in a different direction away from Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight has those things. I don't know if you've played it at all, but you're trying to like restore a generator and it does these attention checks at certain intervals where you have to press a button. There'll be like a gauge that goes back and forth and you have to press it at a certain time in order to not make noise. But this doesn't do that at all. This, as a survivor player, you can you have to like lock pick your way out of the basement. Everybody starts in the basement. They have to get out of the basement into the main house and then out, escape out the exits.
Okay.
Although they're like Friday the 13th, there are multiple ways to win. But you can determine whether you want to make noise or not. You can be stealthy and like only tap the X button like lightly every so often to like very slowly root around for a lockpick or very slowly get a bone shard, which you can use to shiv one of the killers with. Or you can just go for broke and tap X and make as much noise as you want and just hope that the killers are not paying attention to their radar. But so far, I've been having a lot of fun with this game. The levels are very much like mazes. Like the farmhouse, once you get out of the basement, which is a maze unto itself and different in each of the level layouts. So there are 3 maps right now that have night and day variants. And once you get out of the basement, which is a maze, then you're in the house, which is kind of a maze unto itself because there are doors and there are holes in the wall that you can shimmy through. And then you get out to the farm and there are little spaces to crawl through, ladders to go up and down, and gates to open and close and make sure things are locked and whatnot. And uh there's just a lot of stuff to do, and even learning the maps is a process in and of itself. So I don't really know any of the, any of the maps. Like once I escape from the house, I just try to pick a direction and go. And maybe there'll be an exit there, maybe there won't. And the killers have to be on point as well, because if they at the beginning of the match don't attach the electric fence to the car battery, you can just escape through the door. Escape without having to like turn off the car battery first.
Who the hell doesn't just leave their electric fence attached to the car battery? Like,
this is what I'm saying.
Kind of amateurs.
A lot of people. That was my first win, was against my first escape was somebody had not turned the car battery on. So I was able to just lockpick my way out to the highway and escape, and it was great.
Nice.
Yeah. And also, this is an asymmetrical horror game where you really don't need to talk to the other players.
Perfect.
So much, which I think is also perfect. Like it gives
That's the
you
biggest
messages.
problem with this podcast.
It gives you messages about what the other players have done, or if they've opened an escape route, it'll highlight it on the map so you can see it. And one of the family members is grandpa, and the killers feed grandpa blood, and then grandpa, like every so often at intervals, will do this like scream that will reveal your location to the killers if you're moving. So if you're not moving,
like a sonar,
type thing.
He's
so
like the Hunt for Red October. He's just like 3 pings only, or 1 ping only, please, Mr. Vasily.
That's right. So you'll have to like stop in your tracks, stop what you're doing during his little scream, and the game tells you when he's about
red
to
light,
scream.
green light.
Yeah, and as the family continues feeding him blood, grandpa gets more powerful, and his cooldown is reduced, and then at a certain point he can just reveal your location wherever you are on the map. So it's cool though.
Unfair.
It's pretty good. Like the victims and killers all have pluses and minuses to using them. Like and you have to make sure that you lock the doors behind you, because
killers can't unlock locks, or
they can. Yeah, they can, but they'll be able to know like if somebody went through that door, like if you don't close the door behind you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or if you don't relatch a locked door, they'll know that somebody went through. So anyway, I really like this game. I think it's a ton of fun. I've been watching a lot of streams of it as well, and it's a super fun game to watch. And I hope it does really well for Gun, and I believe it has so far. They announced that they were at 1 million players already after 24 hours.
Half of whom could actually play.
Well, yeah. Server problems notwithstanding, yeah, 1 million players. So that's a Game Pass success, I would say. Yeah.
All right.
Very exciting stuff. And I guess that's it for what you've been playing. I guess now we just go to social posts, which I wish I had a jingle to play.
Social posts.
Social posts. Time for the social posts.
There. That's the jingle.
We did it.
Yep. Good teamwork, everybody. Congratulations.
All right. Hacker Alias, any day now, asks, Starfield is coming out very soon. Do you plan on dabbling with it at all? If so, do you have any ideas as to what kind of character you will play?
A space explorer. I don't know enough about it to know what kind of characters there are, but I do want to try it out. Yes.
Yeah, I want to try this out as well. I want to be the sandwich pirate that we saw in the deep dive video.
Right. Right.
One of the designers was stealing sandwiches. I want to. That's right up my street.
Yes.
We'll see how that goes. Otherwise, like I don't really know. I haven't been like following much about it except for what was in the deep dive video, which honestly I
Yeah,
don't
same.
remember a whole lot of. So, but I would like to play it. Did you see the criticism of the title screen on this game
Oh God,
that hit
no.
social media? Some former Blizzard designer said that the sparse look of the Starfield title screen proved that the team was overworked or didn't care about the title screen. And it was just like, what are you even
Isn't
talking
it just the
about?
name against the Starfield background?
It is. And then Pete Hines from Bethesda said that that was one of the first things that they did, and they put a lot of care and effort into the look of it. So anyway, I thought that was a funny example of an internet observation gone awry. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see. What else do we have from Twitter? We had something good here. Right? All right. This one from Frunkus Baldwin, who says, I just finished my Tower of Power with the purchase of a 32X. Do you guys have any missing pieces in your collection that you haven't purchased for one reason or another?
I mean, from a Sega console standpoint, a Sega Genesis console standpoint, and talking about the Tower of Power, I sure would love a Mega Drive karaoke. I don't know what it's called, adapter, I guess. If you've never seen it, it just sits next to the Sega CD / Genesis combo, and it's shaped in such a way that it looks like it just fits. I don't think it actually physically attaches outside of using some cables,
but it looks like it should belong.
It all looks as like one big unit, and they are prohibitively expensive. So I probably never will have that. But from the Tower of Power standpoint, that's definitely missing from my collection. Otherwise, I don't really think I do have anything missing. Like there's, especially from a hardware perspective, I kind of have all the hardware. Like I'll tell you what I wish I could find. Actually, there's two things. No, one thing I wish I could find. My original GBASP was like the indigo colored one. I have no idea where that is. I through multiple moves. I don't know if it's just hiding in the corner of some box in my basement or what, but I have gone out of my way to look for that thing multiple times and I just cannot find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, no, I don't really have any grails that I'm missing at this point.
I see. No, I don't really either. Except I don't have a collection anymore. So there's that.
So what you're missing is your whole collection.
My entire collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything that I really felt like I was missing out on. I never owned a Neo Geo.
I wouldn't mind having a Neo Geo.
But one of the only pieces of hardware that I never owned. Never really had any interest in owning, honestly.
You didn't have any interest in a Neo Geo, really? That's fascinating to me. Not at all?
No, because it was mostly fighting games and like side-scrolling brawlers, and I felt I kind of got the best of those on the home consoles, and then the ones that I did like, I had my fill of them in the arcades. And then now I played Arcade Archives, Sengoku. We played through all three of those.
Yeah, Sengoku, yeah. See, now my recollection of the Neo Geo, because it wasn't all fighting games from the start.
No.
Like at the start,
right.
you had like Magician Lord and Blues Journey and Metal Slug came along a couple years later. But yeah, there was Cross Swords, Baseball Stars. For me, Baseball Stars 2. Oh my God, I loved Baseball Stars 2 so much.
Super Baseball 2020, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
So like, but for me, it was just this completely unattainable console. Because when did it come out? 91? I
don't
think.
remember.
It came out early on.
Unattainable is right.
Yeah, it came out really early on. And just, yeah, like, I mean, it was an arcade system at home, and you had those giant cartridges that were hundreds of dollars each. Like, it just was one of those things that, and the game store that I used to hang out at, they had one that was always on demo. And so I would definitely play that and just be like, God, I wish we were rich and that we could afford something like this. Now, had I owned it, I don't know how happy I would have been, because the thing with all those games is they were arcade games. They were made with sort of arcade sensibilities in mind. And that was, play them quick and move on. Or just get really good at something that was relatively short. But it still just looked so much better than anything else that was on the market at the time. So yeah, I pined for one of those for quite a while, and I've just it's never gotten to the point where I've gotten around to getting one. But I think now I would say that that's something that might be missing from my collection, but I'm also not really interested in getting any more old game consoles, because emulation has gotten to the point, especially for something like the Neo Geo,
absolutely,
that it's fine, and I don't need to clutter. I already have way too much stuff cluttering up the house. I don't need to add, especially something the size of a Neo Geo, to that collection. Right. So
yeah, and I am thankful, very thankful for emulation, and for the Odroid that you guys put together and sent me, and like very thankful for that. And I go through that every so often and will load up games that I used to own but don't anymore, and it's just a very nice thing to have in lieu of the actual hardware and games. So
you know what I discovered yesterday, actually.
What's that?
Was, so I still have one of the PlayStation 2 test kits.
Oh, nice.
From EGM, actually. They were one of EGM's kits, which I think was sent to me so that I could keep reviewing things after I'd left the magazine. And the fun fact about all of those sort of test units, I don't think it happens so much anymore because everything's delivered digitally now. So usually if you're a reviewer, you just get a code to download a game that's pre-release. But back then, 20 some odd years ago, especially once we were first getting into optical media, you generally needed some way to play. I don't know if you call them unsigned discs or something like that, but basically, like with the Dreamcast, you had a key disc that you had to put in first. So you were using like a retail Dreamcast, you put the key disc in first, and then that would set the system up to be able to read the pre-release games that you were reviewing or previewing. But sometimes you needed a special console, and with the PlayStation 2, that was one of them. With the PlayStation, it was as well. You needed like the blue kit as well.
Correct.
But PlayStation 2 were test units, and they're actually like the big brick size. And instead of the PS2 logo on one side, it actually has test in that same
font.
It's really cool. So I had it for years, and it was great. It was great because you could play imports on it, no problem, right? Anyway, years ago, I turned the thing on, and I don't know what happened, but I didn't get a picture. And in my mind, I was like, well, this is probably dead. And I put it away in my sort of game closet and left it there, thinking someday I'll get that fixed. So I was down in the game room yesterday puttering around, and I was like, I should do that. I should get a hold of the guy that I've used a couple of times to fix my old consoles, and see if he'll fix this test kit. So I took it out, and it's like, well, I better plug it in so I can remember what was wrong with it. Plugged it in, the damn thing works.
Maybe it was just a bad cable.
Well, so here's the thing. It works and it boots up games, but the first controller port doesn't work. Like if you plug a controller, I plugged in a DualShock 2 and the light comes on the DualShock, so I know that it's got a connection, but it won't read any inputs. But if I plug that same DualShock 2 into controller port 2, it works.
Okay.
So it's the controller port. So I looked it up, and apparently the ribbon cable between the controller port and the motherboard on those old fat PlayStation 2s tend to break. So anyway, this is a really long way for me to say that I ordered a ribbon cable, and I hope it shows up soon so I can see if my test kit. I'm so excited because I don't have a ton of imports, but I have, like the Gran Turismo concept discs and Sega Rally 2006 that came with like the PS2 version of the arcade Sega Rally, and a few other games that it's like, man, I'd love to be able to play those.
Right.
And and maybe I can now. I'm just really excited that it works. Man, that system was huge. I know the Xbox was huge, but the PlayStation 2 was a big old chunky system too.
It's
and
true.
When you put the hard drive in, it weighs a ton.
Well, yeah. That hard drive, it was a physical hard drive bay, right?
Yeah.
And magnetic disc. And
I took it off the shelf, and I'd forgotten that I had the hard drive / broadband adapter attached to it. Right. And I was like, I almost dropped it. I was like, holy crap, this thing weighs a ton.
Yes.
But it worked, so I was happy.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know why I felt the need to tell that story, but I'm just really, really excited that my PlayStation 2 test kit works.
I like the mods now that they're doing with older consoles where you just have to put in like a micro SD card. It's the original hardware, but it has, instead of the optical drive, it has a micro SD slot.
The ODE.
Yeah.
Optical drive emulators.
I think that's awesome.
I have one of those so I have two Saturns, and one of them is my original Saturn. Yeah. And early last year, the drive finally died in it. So I used that as an excuse to get one of those ODEs for my Saturn. It's the one that plugs into the MPEG port in the back, which is nice because if the disk drive did still work, I could still use the disk drive. And I have one for my 3DO as well, because my 3DO drive died a long time ago. So I put an ODE in that as well and can play that.
That's awesome.
Play anything on that too. Yeah, really excited about that. I need to get one for my Dreamcast. I have two Dreamcasts, and one of those is in pretty rough shape now too.
Yep. You could be playing the original Samba de Amigo on that. All right. Well, that's all our questions.
Really? We don't have anything on Blue Sky or Threads
no, we don't.
Or Mastodon? Because last week you just didn't look.
I read the Mastodon. I read the questions from X and Mastodon, and that's what we have.
X. Jesus Christ.
X. Yeah.
We should just block everybody on X because it won't last anyway.
It's gonna last. What are you talking about?
No, I mean the blocking. Kill that thing. They'll kill the blocks.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see how that all pans out.
We can't stop now. Badly. It's only been an hour. What else do you want to talk about?
I don't want to talk about anything else. I want to.
Wow.
I want to play some more Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I mean, I want to play more Zelda, so I get it. I do get it.
We'll do a short show. Why not, right?
I mean, hopefully next week's show will be a little bit longer. I'm excited if plans pan out the way they should. I'm really excited about next week's show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too.
I don't want to say why just yet because I'm afraid that it won't happen and I'll be sad. But but if it does happen, I'm super excited. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little tease.
Yeah. Let that sink in for the next 5 days, 7 days.
Yeah. I guess that's it. Alrighty. That is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us, would like to comment on something you heard, direct that to @P1Podcast on the various social media sites that are out there now. We're on a lot of those. So, find us there. And if you don't like that, you can send us one of them emails like you do on the internet back in 2005.
We should. I'm telling you, we should reconnect the voice line, the voicemail line.
Connect the voicemail line. Yeah, that'd be fun. Different. It'd have to be a different number at this time. At this point, I wonder who has the number that we.
We should call it and find out.
We should. Yeah, maybe we'll do that next week or the week after. Let's see. Player1podcast.com is the webpage, the website where you'll find all your video game needs and desires. They will all be fulfilled at this website. And you'll find show notes and links to all the things that we talked about. And it includes a Discord link to our server where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you would like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by going to player1podcast.com or the Apple app. What the hell is it called?
Apple Podcast
Podcast app. That's what I was going to say.
Also, any podcast client that you happen to use. Maybe you use Google for that. Maybe you use Spotify. Whatever. We're everywhere, pretty much.
Maybe. We're everywhere. That's right. And of course, if you like, you can watch us live every week on YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah.
And Facebook.
But
no longer Twitter. Usually at p1podcast.com. We normally record at 8:30 Eastern on Sunday evenings. And if you're watching this video, you already know that. Sorry, if you're watching this live, you already know that. Yeah. And I forget what else Phil talks about. So I'm just going to go into the Patreon. If you like what you've heard, and how could you, please consider supporting the show on patreon.com/p1podcast. It helps us keep the lights on. It's going to help CJ hire someone to put everything on shelves back there and maybe even put that. You know, it's so sad. That Amano print you have sitting back there is so pretty.
It is. You're right. Yeah.
But it would be even prettier if it wasn't sideways leaning against the wall with a bunch of other crap leaning up against it.
How do you know?
I just know.
Yeah, I gotta put that up.
Amano stuff is beautiful.
I also have a Dragon's Lair the Dragon's Lair poster.
Yes, you should.
I have that.
What are you doing?
It's in one of the cardboard tubes that's over here.
Yeah, it's doing a lot of good in there too.
Yeah. Well, thank God it was in there. But
fair. But I mean, I don't know, CJ. I'm not saying that you'd be better off if it had been stolen. I'm not saying that. But
yeah,
I mean, had it been on your wall, it still wouldn't be gone.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, those Patreon funds do help us do stuff like keep the lights on, keep the website running, pay for the various tools we need to broadcast and or edit the podcast, and sometimes goes toward buying games for the hosts that we can talk about on the show.
Indeed.
Some of us even play those games. Not all of us, but some of us. And if you really enjoy what you've heard and you would like to support the show to the tune of $5 per month,
cheap,
you get access to the after show where we get to play games, crack wise, do all the things we can't do on the regular show. CJ, do we have a game for this week?
We do, Greg. We have an AI haiku quiz.
God. Another one.
This one from listener Jake. So we will be playing that.
Okay. A new challenger enters the AI haiku quiz competition. All right. Indeed. Well, look forward to that. And if you have a few bucks left over, you could consider heading over to patreon.com/generation16 and supporting my show, Generation 16, about America's, as Phil would say, favorite second banana, the Sega Genesis. And if you are a supporter of the $5 variety over there,
also cheap,
you get access to the Weekly Commute, which is a weekly vlog series that I do talking about all of the different videos and other projects I've got going on, as well as anything else that's on my mind. Usually I talk about CJ and Phil and which one I like best. You can guess which one, but you should still go listen anyway. Like CJ back over there pointing at himself. He's not wrong. Anyway, please consider supporting my show as well. Hey, CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hosting this week.
Well, Thank you, Greg, for joining me.
Phil, I hope you're having a wonderful vacation. I know you're not listening to this anyway.
It's true. He's having fun.
He's having fun. I hope he's having fun. And thank you to our lovely listeners for tuning in as you do week on and week off. Really appreciate that. And I think that's it. Hope to see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.